nuances here get pushed aside by the brute force of politics. Michael Waltz understands that. He is a Republican from Florida, the 6th Congressional District. This is from Jacksonville in the south of Jacksonville down. He is the congressman of Daytona Beach. Michael Waltz, thank you so much for rejoining us. It was good to see you the other day. Your guy has to win Florida. Your district is 13% Hispanic. How does he get the Hispanic vote? How does he get the increasing Cuban vote in Miami?
Well, I can tell you he's doing very well with the Cuban vote and the Venezuelan vote for one simple reason. The word socialism doesn't ring too well with that part of the Hispanic vote. These are people who have suffered personally, who have lost family members or still have family members suffering in Cuba, in Venezuela, under the Maduro regime and under the remnants of the Castro regime. And the move by the progressive left to actively say and advocate socialist policies is really driving Hispanics towards the president and towards the Republican Party.
Well said. You've stated your case. Do you see any indication that Mr. Biden of Delaware has decided to support the far left of the liberals on that matter, or is he running more centrist?
Well, I think he's been kind of all over the place, to be honest with you. At some point, he was for the Green New Deal. It's on his website. Then in the debate, he says it's not his plan. His vice president certainly has pounded the table for Medicare for all. He brought in the progressive left into his working groups for health care. Look, government-run healthcare is not the solution. Look at the problems with the VA, which I hope we'll talk about, which runs from the government 1,200 hospitals and clinics, and yet still is not serving our veterans. That's the best example of where the left wants to go, and I absolutely do think that will dominate Biden's policies.
I'm sure that you want a debate in Miami just for bragging points for Florida and all that. The governor, no doubt, wants a debate in Miami as well. How do we do a debate in Miami that fits the realities of one candidate healthy and the other one rather ill?
Well, the typical course of the virus and the quarantine should be done by that debate in another 10 days. The president is looking much better. And I think at that point, we'll be able to have the debate. They'll stay socially distanced. Their teams will stay will stay apart and stay distant as well. Very few people are going to be allowed into the room. But I think that debate is important for people to hear. And it's important per our earlier point on where the left wants to go in terms of what it calls democratic socialism, to have that in Miami in the midst of people whose relatives, family members, and even themselves have suffered. There is a huge refugee population, a Venezuelan population, that has been brutalized by the Maduro regime in Venezuela, and I think that's a debate that needs to be had and a great place to have it.
Congressman, I think we can anticipate one of the questions that will be asked next week, and I do wonder, I'd love to hear what your response to this question would be. If someone poses the question, if the president can't keep the White House safe from COVID-19, how does he protect the country? What is the answer to that, Congressman?
Well, look, I think the president has kept the White House safe for an extraordinary amount of time in this year. I've personally been in and out a number of times on and off of Air Force One. Look, at the end of the day, no one said that this virus would never spread. The goal was to flatten the curve, to get a hospital system that could, to buy our hospital system time to handle it and not become completely overwhelmed while we march towards therapeutics and a vaccine. So if those were our goals, which we have to keep an eye on, I think we have largely hit those. Meanwhile, I do think Biden needs to be held accountable for not wanting a shutdown from China, for not wanting a shutdown from Europe, for calling those policies xenophobic, and for himself and his advisors early on not advocating for some of the stronger policies that the president put in place.
Congressman,
so I think there's a lot of spin going on here in terms of what he would have done had he be president. And again, that's what debates are for, and that's what's going to come out.
Congressman, just real quick, Do you think that President Trump has handled the own virus in his cabinet for himself well, given the fact that he's currently displaying himself not wearing a mask and going for what some people have called a joyride in front of his supporters with Secret Service members in the same car?
Yeah, look, so there's a big difference when you have the luxury of just being a candidate versus when you have to govern and when you have to lead, and you have to lead with agency and cabinet heads that have to lead the Defense Department, the State Department, and others, and other critical departments. You have to be out there. You have to find ways to walk and chew gum. And I think that's been the president's message all along, is we cannot go to a 100% shutdown. It's just not a responsible policy. We were talking about veterans a moment ago. You know, we're seeing a 20 to 30% spike in veteran suicides just in the last year because of the isolations that are getting put in place by mandatory shutdown. So I think the president's message is we have to find ways to safely do both. We have to he has to govern and to lead. I think that's what he's been trying to do.
Congressman, fantastic to have you on the program today. Hopefully we can have you back soon. Thanks for giving us your time.